So the year was 2007, and I have just turned 10 years old. And I had a good childhood, I would say. My relationship with my family was a great one. I was full of life and joy. I really wanted to explore the world and discover it more, up until the point where I used to go to school and I started getting bullied. I started getting hit by other kids, and I don't know if you can relate to that, but I used to be disrespected a lot in school. Everyone was walking all over me. They were pushing me around, throwing me in garbage bins. And I think it was due to the fact that I was weak and I was really skinny. And I didn't have any siblings back then. I was an only child. And I don't think that this helped. I didn't have anyone to back me up. So I remember everyone that had a brother or an older brother, they were protected, But because I was alone and I was weak, I had a target on my back. I had to defend myself from other kids, which I've tried to, but I've reached a point where they were ganging up on me and they were throwing me around, hitting me. And I remember I used to really be terrified of other people. Every time I interacted with someone, I always kept my guards high because I felt like they were out there to hurt me. They were out there to cause me pain. And I didn't share this story with anyone, not even my parents. As much as my relationship with my parents was great, I felt embarrassed. I didn't want to share this story with everyone, so my dad used to drop me at school in the morning. I used to endure all of this trauma. So all of this trauma was starting to build up, and I couldn't wait for the bell to ring so I can leave this environment and go back to safety and to my life outside of school. So as much as I felt that I had a great family life, at school, I was being fed this trauma from other kids that probably had terrible relationships with their parents, and they were taking this out on me. They were taking their frustrations on my younger self, which has really succeeded. It has caused me a lot of psychological problems. I always felt like the weak link, that I have something to prove to others, and I couldn't trust anyone. And I was too young to realize that the problem wasn't from me, but it was from them, because I knew that I had a solid foundation back then. My parents were really taking care of me and they wanted what's best for me. But once you got 10 kids ganging up on you with all of their unhealed trauma, they're going to beat you, whether you like it or not. You're going to feel like the problem is from you and not from them. And this is an environment where my parents couldn't control. Once I've graduated from school, I felt relief. I felt like I don't have to deal with this trauma anymore. I'm free. I can do whatever I want. Because you have experienced all of this pain at a very young age, it stays connected with your character. And there's going to be a lot of work that you're going to have to put in so it doesn't affect your future life. You see, the past has already gone. It's something that is done. Nobody remembers it but you, because there are things that have affected you to the point where you weren't able to detach yourself from it. If you stay holding on to it, you're going to take this trauma that you have and you will pass it to other people. You're always going to feel like you lack. You're always going to feel like you're socially awkward and that you can't maintain eye contact with people and have confidence issues. So I remember I used to go to sleep and I had nightmares of all of the trauma that I've passed through as a child. So this is how deep it has affected my subconscious. You see, and I'm making this video just to tell you that there is a way out of it, but it's going to be a long process. It's really difficult to detach yourself from it. But once you do, you are going to feel like you have recreated yourself. You have become a new version of yourself. And these are some ways that you can start applying in order to heal yourself from all of this pain. The number one thing is finding your identity in the world. Once you know who you are and what you stand for, and once you know what you're working towards, you're going to start seeing yourself in a different manner. There's one concept that once you understand, it's going to change your entire perspective on reality and the person that you are. And it is that people will buy the image that you sell them. If you sell the image of a broken person or as a person that is not confident, they're going to perceive you as a not confident person. But if you walk in the room, as much as you are enduring pain from the inside and you are going through a lot of psychological things, if you walk in a room and you know how to present yourself and to show the strongest image of yourself, people are going to see you as a strong individual. And I'm not telling you to fake yourself, no, but if you want to see yourself in a different way, you have to break out of this negative thinking. Your mind is like a sponge. The more positive things that you feed it, the more it's going to show, and the more negative things that you put inside of it, it's going to suck up all of the energy that you put into it. So instead of feeding yourself trauma that has happened from 10, 15, 20 years ago, start seeing yourself as this recreated and rebranded image of yourself. It's going to be awkward in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, once you know that you are working towards your goal, you know who you are, you know what you stand for, all of these things that make you into the person that you are going to eventually beat this trauma. You're going to feel that you are much more free, you are much more loose. And I'm not telling you that this is the end all be all and that you're going to be perfectly healed. No, of course there's going to still be little parts of this unhealed trauma inside of you, but it's a good way to start seeing yourself in a different perspective. And finding your identity could be really difficult, especially nowadays. I think that with all of this social media, when I was growing up there was no social media. We had Facebook and MSN Messenger. It was kind of like WhatsApp or iMessage, but you used to do it on the computer and chat with your friends. So it wasn't too crazy. We didn't have this endless dopamine rush in front of us, and we didn't grow up with iPads, which was optimal because it didn't feel like technology was such a huge part of my upbringing. I used to have a PS2 and I used to have a Game Boy, but it wasn't too crazy. I didn't scroll TikTok. I didn't feel like I was endlessly consuming content. If you go right now online as a young person, if you are 12, 13, 14 years old and you open Instagram, there's this huge emphasis on you to start making money and to start becoming rich, which is a good thing, but overconsumption of it, it's just going to rot your brain. And I think if you are consuming content like this, self-improvement content, you are one of the few that is really ahead of the pack, because probably more than 90% of people aren't even on self-improvement. They don't care. They use the internet just to consume content. They don't even have a long-term vision for themselves. And all of this plays a massive role into influencing the person that you are. Because I didn't grow up with TikTok, with Instagram, I feel that I was able to connect with myself more. And this is what you also need to do. You have to connect with yourself, because all of the answers are internal. And this is how you're going to find out who you are and overcome all of the bullshit that you have passed through during your life. And I know sometimes you might pass through a lot of difficulties and a lot of hardships that were outside of your hand, but I don't think giving up is the answer. I don't think feeling sorry about yourself is going to lead to anywhere. Because if you feel sorry about yourself, you are just going to be miserable over something that has happened to you 10 or 15 years ago, which is not going to be a good return on your investment. If you are sad or miserable, okay, but then what? What can you do about it? You have to keep the control in your hand, because you have power inside of you. You have power to change. You have the ability to control yourself and control your emotions. If you are sad or you let something that has happened a long time ago affect you, there's not going to be much things that you can do right now in order to change it, unless you build yourself a time machine and travel back in time in order to actually fix it, which is impossible. I don't know if it's physically possible, probably, but nobody has reached this technology yet. But on the serious note, you have to focus on something that you can do right now in order to improve yourself in the future, because you no longer have control over your past. You only have control over what's going to happen in the future. And in order to affect it, you have to take action today. You have to do things today that will help you break out of whatever you have went through in your life and eventually become a person that is free. Once you reach your freedom, you will just feel like a bird flying through the sky, looking to explore the whole world and with nothing holding you back. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found the message helpful. If you did, make sure that you subscribe so the algorithm shows it to someone who really needs it. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.